Is it luck or is it just preparation? This brings me to how to create luck for yourself. I was having a conversation with a friend just a few days ago, and we were talking about how when people generally look at you, they think, this girl is lucky, this guy is lucky. Oh, you must be so lucky that you have this. So I'll give you an example. So when people see me now, with my YouTube channel, and maybe when I travel, people say, you're so lucky, you can travel around the world, when you want, and you have a job or you work online. So that gives you flexibility. And I find that quite interesting, especially as someone who came from a medical school background, because traveling the world was not on the list of, it's not even something I imagined would be possible, especially with my passport. Now, in my experience, I've come to learn that when you see someone so lucky, outside of maybe like God's grace, God's favor, that kind of thing, it's usually months, hours, years, weeks of preparation on the back end that no one knows about, that ends up meeting with an opportunity, and it seems like they were the luckiest person on earth. A very good example that I'm going to give is how I moved to Barbados. So as you may or may not know, I was in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I was a student, a medical student, before I decided not to continue with medical school, and then I started working online. So while I was doing that, I was thinking about ways. I wanted to leave St. Vincent, but I wanted to move. I didn't want to go back to Nigeria. I wanted to go somewhere else, wherever, whatever the options were. And actually, I was thinking I didn't want to go too far from where I was. Like, I didn't want to spend like $1,000 or $2,000 on flights. So that pretty much left me with either like the US or somewhere in the Caribbean. Now, I knew that the US was out of the question. I also didn't want to live in the US, mostly for cost reasons, because I was thinking if I earn in USD, spend in USD, it's going to be a higher cost of living. And if I live in the Caribbean, it converts into the Caribbean currency, which is a better value for my money at that time. Like, I did not need to live in the US, especially since I'm not actually working a physical job. So I started searching for options, and the only thing I could find at the time were like student visas. Most of the things I could find on the internet was like, okay, move on student visa, you go there, while you're in school, you get a visa, and then maybe you figure it out from there. And I really did not want to have my visa tied to school. I didn't want to have to physically go to a school and, be going to classes. So I kept searching and searching. This was like pandemic and all of that. And then I discovered like digital nomad visas, which is what I'm on. So visa for people who work remotely. And when I discovered that, I was so excited. I was like, okay, this is great. And I know that the digital nomad visa started popping up like during the pandemic to after the pandemic. And it was perfect because I worked online, which means I qualified. And the only difference was essentially income. So different countries will tell you different criteria. Some will say you need to earn $1,500 per month. Some were saying like $7,000 a month, depending on the country. And they all had their reasons for setting the price, or rather the income requirement that high. And when I discovered Barbados visa, I was like, this is perfect. Now, looking from the outside, it looked like, oh, she's so lucky. She was able to get a Barbados visa. She qualified for the visa, and then she was able to move. However, what no one else saw was that like 3-4 years prior, if not 5 years prior to discovering those visas, I was working online. I was already a freelancer. I was learning new skills. I was getting clients. I was trying to earn money online. Now, if at the time I discovered the visa, that was when I was now trying to start working online, it would take me years to qualify for the visa. But because I was already working, so when the visa came out, it was just like it was made for me, and it was perfect, and I applied and I got the visa and I moved. it looks like, I guess, lucky girl syndrome. So this brings me to how to create luck sometimes for yourself. So right now, everybody's talking about working online, remote work, AI. You notice trends will start to appear. And as they start to appear, people will start to either create opportunities or opportunities will present themselves. And it's only the people who started preparation way before those opportunities appeared that will be at least the first people to take advantage of them. Now, this is not to say that if you were not prepared prior, you will never be able to take advantage of those opportunities. It's just that it will take you longer amount of time. I was talking to a friend recently, and we were talking about how, the economy in Nigeria is not the greatest and stuff like that. And when we went back to look at chat, we discovered that I had been talking about the person like starting freelancing and working online and trying to make money in dollars back then, like 2018, 2019. And both of us started laughing because it was a very funny situation. I didn't remember that I was even talking about it at the time. And we're looking at the chats in 2025, and the person was like, damn, if I had listened then, I would have had something really thriving now, because the economy is worse now than it was then. And it's not like it's impossible now. It's just that the friction, the barrier to entry is so much harder. It's so much more difficult. It's the same thing I hear people in Nigeria say, oh, if I had known that the economy would have gotten worse, I would have, maybe when the dollar was better for conversion rates naira to naira, I would have gone to the UK to do my masters and stuff like that. So it goes to show you that as you are working through life, as you're doing stuff, you want to keep an eye out for when things change, for when new opportunities arise, for when trends start to move. There are lots of people that, for example, cashed out of crypto. Crypto is not exactly my jam. I don't understand it. But like, people who were able to recognize it as an opportunity, learned about it, were also able to benefit from it. It's the same thing as when we moved from the industrial age into like technology and all of that. When people stopped doing more manual jobs and started working office jobs, there's always a time that there'll be a shift. And if you recognize those shifts, if you recognize those trends, you're more likely to create luck for yourself, because it will seem like you were just prepared. It will almost be like insider trading, like somebody whispered it into your ear that on so day in so year, this is going to happen. You will be so prepared for it. So if you feel like you missed out on everything else, take a look around you. What are the things that you're noticing? What are the industries that you feel like you'll be able to, break into, harness, use, and learn it? If that means learning a skill, if that means changing your mindset about things change all the time. So it's always good to keep an open mind to learn. Be always have that growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset, so that when opportunities arise, you will be over prepared. So that's it for today, and I'll see you in my next video.